Welcome back in one of the Bears Profit Plays YouTube channel. Today is Friday, October 25th, and once again, we might have the best game on the slate for Friday night instead of anything that's going to be playing on Saturday afternoon. It's going to be an absolutely massive game between UNLV and Boise State. Winner of this game keeps their playoff hopes alive. Loser of this game is going to need a lot of help if they want to make a shot at the playoffs. I'll have my best game pick, my two best player props for the whole slate. Before we jump into those games, take a look at the Thursday night picks. I'm recording extra early today. We've got Syracuse plus 6.5 tonight going up against Pitt. Kyle McCord over 323.5 passing yards against Pitt. And then Trevor Pena over 71.5 receiving yards in the same game. So we are heavy on Syracuse. Here's an updated leaderboard. 0-0 around right now. None of the games have started yet. 79-61 year to date in college football. But let's take a look at this game. Boise State, UNLV, monster spot here. Mountain West Conference battle between the two teams. Boise State, they're coming in with 5 wins, only 1 loss. UNLV, same record, 5 wins, 1 loss. The more impressive loss, it goes to Boise State because the only loss they have this year, 3 points by the now number 1 team in the country, Oregon, 37-34 in that game. The other games that Boise State's played, nothing really to talk about. They kind of stomped on all the bad teams. Washington State was probably their best matchup, and they stomped them as well. UNLV's coming off 3 consecutive wins after they lost to Syracuse. With the backup quarterback, we had that news that dropped 3 games in the season. Someone didn't get paid or someone didn't sign the line, and UNLV had to switch up the quarterbacks. But now they've got senior quarterback Williams again. He's looked really good in 3 of the 4 games so far for the Rebels. Everybody knows the best player for Boise State, Ashton Jeanty, who's basically putting up Barry Sanders numbers in college so far. It's a tough game to pick a side because I do think either one of these teams can find a way to win this matchup. But we're going to go with the over here, 64.5 points. Starting with Boise State, they're scoring 46.8 points per game. That is number 4 in the country, and they're putting up over 500 yards of offense per game as well. Most of the damage can be accounted to Jeanty on the ground. 1,248 rushing yards, 18 touchdowns through 6 games, and he really hasn't played 6 games. I think the accumulated quarters would add up to 4 games and 3 quarters. So he's doing an amazing job this season. They also have a really good quarterback, Maddox Madsen, who's thrown for over 1,200 yards this season, 12 touchdowns. So the Broncos, they do have a pretty balanced running and passing attack. The defense has been average this year, giving up 26.2 points per game. Most of their damage is done through the air, though, giving up 276.3 yards per game passing. UNLV, they're going to try to take advantage of that with their star wide receiver, Ricky White, and their quarterback, Malik Williams. If we take a look at that UNLV Rebels offense, though, they're right up there with Boise State, 43.6 points per game. That's number 5 in the country. They're also very average on the defensive side, just like Boise State. They're giving up 22.6 points per game. They've got a pretty good rush defense, only giving up 104.4 yards per game. But my counter to that argument is Oregon. They played Boise State. It didn't matter. Ashton Jeanty did whatever he wanted in that game against Oregon. That's a very good Oregon defense as well. So I think he's going to do whatever he wants in this game against UNLV. If I had to take a side, Boise State would be my pick, -3. But again, not going to take a side. This is must-watch TV tomorrow night on Friday night. Over 63.5 points as the play for myself. For the player props, I don't even have to break this down. I think you guys know why we're taking this play. The closest thing we've ever seen to Barry Sanders in college football. Nobody thought those numbers would ever be touched again. This is going to be a top 15 most likely pick in the NFL draft, possibly top 10 if he keeps up these numbers, because Boise State, they're going to run the ball going up against UNLV. I don't care that the defense is pretty good at stopping the run. We saw what he did against Oregon. Last game going up against Hawaii on the island. 31 attempts, 217 yards, 2 total touchdowns. He rushed for over 185 yards in every game but one this season, and that was against Portland State. They didn't need him. He didn't play the second half. They won that game 56-14 against the Oregon Ducks. He had 192 yards, 3 touchdowns. The average yard per carry, 7.7. This guy's going to stand straight-legged, looking directly into your soul on the defensive side. He's going to seek the contact, and he's going to take it to the house, stepping over you on the way. This is a big play guy. His shortest touchdown run on the season through 6 games is 54 yards for his longest touchdown run. So 54 yards is the shortest long-distance run he's had over the first 6 games. He's going to break at least a couple in this game against UNLV. Over 193.5 rushing yards, and I think it's crazy to say this number might be a little bit low. I think he's going to go well over 200 yards because he's probably going to play all 4 quarters. So give me his over as the play there. And for the last play, we're going to take a look at Rutgers going up against USC. We're going to get out of that UNLV game. Give me Kyle Monaghay to go over 89.5 rushing yards going up against USC. Something's wrong with the Trojans right now. They started off the season with a huge win against LSU. I think what's happened is up front, they're getting a little bit bullied over the last couple of games because they've had to play Michigan, Minnesota, Maryland, and Penn State over the last 4 games. They've got 0 wins in those games. I will give them some credit. Against Michigan, they probably should have won that game. Against Maryland, they probably should have won that game as well. Against Penn State, they definitely should have won that game. They actually kind of just got beat against Minnesota because they dominated them on the ground. But the one thing that I will say about USC, this team, in the second half, whenever teams go make adjustments, they keep the ball on the ground in the second half. This is historically a soft Trojans team. I think if Rutgers can't get anything going in the first half, they're going to give the ball to Kyle 20-plus times in the second half. We saw Penn State do it. We saw Michigan do it. Why won't it work for Rutgers here? The Scarlet Knights have lost 3 consecutive games. Themselves, they're looking for a spark. I think Kyle will be that spark. He's coming off a great game against UCLA, 106 yards on the ground, 19 touches, 3 total touchdowns. His lowest output on the season was 72 yards against Wisconsin, but they got absolutely blown out in that game. I think this is an easy number for him to get. So I'm going to take him over 89.5 rushing yards as the final play tonight. Let's take a look at that recap graphic. We're going to go with the over, 64.5 between Boise State and UNLV. Again, I think I would lean towards Boise State -3, but should be a great game there. Ashton Jeanty over 193.5 rushing yards against UNLV. And then Kyle Monaghay over 89.5 rushing yards going up against the Trojans as the last play. Guys, that's going to do it for NCAA football plays and props for Friday, October 25th slated games. If you guys enjoyed the content, please sure drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel below. See you guys next video, and thanks for watching.